So it appears like the White House has now fully embraced the Dark Brandon meme. Okay, so this is in media. Biden White House goes all in on Dark Brandon meme mocking pro-Trump Dark MAGA movement. So I want to go through this with you and give you my thoughts as we go along here. In an age of political trolling, the Biden White House is trying to get in on the action and reclaim one of the right's favorite taunts, Let's Go Brandon. Let's Go Brandon became code for Fuck Joe Biden after a NASCAR race in Alabama, October 2nd, 2021. You guys know this backstory. An NBC reporter mistook the crowd's cheer of Fuck Joe Biden as Let's Go Brandon, referring to the winner of the race that day, Brandon Brown. The rest is history, as they say, as GOP activists and even politicians adopted the phrase in yet another sign of how seriously Americans take their politics. By the way, imagine being the person who has to explain the Dark Brandon meme to Joe Biden. I mean, he can't grasp that shit. He can't get his mind around that. He's so out of touch with the internet. It's like you can't describe that to him in a way where he gets it. At the end of the conversation, he's going to be like, okay, Jack. Now, coming off the heels of multiple legislative victories, the Biden White House is adopting their own meme aimed at owning their critics. Dark Brandon is crushing it, wrote Andrew Bates on Saturday night in a tweet. The White House Deputy Press Secretary included an image of Biden with red laser eyes fashioned after the so-called Dark MAGA movement, which uses the same graphic language. So, look, this in the White House, they're going to use this. Newsweek, Julia Carbonaro took a deep dive into the term Dark MAGA back in April, sourcing its origins. Carbonaro wrote that the term first appeared as a hashtag on Twitter on January 21st and had become increasingly popular by March. It can now be found in thousands of memes on Telegram and TikTok as well. More of a meme than a political slogan, Dark MAGA is a post-alt-right aesthetic that promotes an authoritarian version of Trump in dystopian Terminator-like images, she explained, adding, in sum, the Trump Tower is painted entirely in black, and the former president is seen piercing through the screen with blue laser eyes. So, now this was the right, unironically and seriously saying, we would like Trump to be more authoritarian and care more about vengeance. And again, this was serious, that they weren't joking. The new Dark Brandon meme is an effort on the left to try and co-opt both Dark MAGA and Let's Go Brandon. That's not exactly right. You'll see they describe it better as we go along. Rob Flaherty, director of digital strategy at the White House, got in on the action by posting an image of Biden with laser eyes. So they're doing this because Biden just came off a string of wins recently. That's what they're talking about between, healthcare for toxic burn pit victims and the CHIPS Act and now, the Inflation Reduction Act passing the Senate and the killing of Al-Qaeda's number 2 in command, with the string of victories. And then, of course, with the FBI raid on Trump, everything put together, people are pretending like, Brandon's having a revival here. And by the way, the polls are kind of showing that because he bumped up to 40% now, which is higher. He bottomed out at like 33%. So he's up quite a bit from there because of this string of, I guess you could say, legislative victories, but also because the right is now fully anti-gay marriage, 157 of them, anti-right to contraception, 197 of them. The January 6th thing is kind of shining a spotlight on how crazy they are. So Chris Murphy posted a Dark Brandon meme. CNN's Andrew Kulinski tracked the rise of the Dark Brandon meme and used a tweet from right-wing commentator Ben Shapiro to illustrate its origins. The Dark Brandon meme was started as an ironic joke by Twitter leftists, mocking conservatives who share memes of Trump dressed as Rambo non-ironically. And then he says the second tweet is the basis for the joke. This is him replying to Ben Shapiro. So Ben Shapiro said, you can try to Dark Brandon meme your way out of sub-40 approval ratings all you want, but throwing hundreds of billions at green boondoggles in the middle of an inflationary spiral isn't going to turn things around. Okay, there's so much misinformation in that. First of all, the people who are doing it are joking, the Dark Brandon thing. They're not serious like the goofballs on the right who genuinely think of Trump as like a Rambo-like character or whatever. Second of all, his approval rating just hit 40%, which is a massive increase from recently. It's a 7-point increase from recently, and it probably is going to go up more. And thirdly, the random attack at the Inflation Reduction Act is just stupid because it's a very moderate bill. It's got fossil fuel stuff in there as well. It's got tax credits for some green stuff. It's a very moderate piece of legislation, and the effect on inflation is going to be negligible. So this idea that well, you're spending more, therefore inflation's going to go even more out of control. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He said, that said, the imagery of a dotard who can barely form words from his face hole actually being a laser-eyed Death Lord is pretty hilarious. Yeah, Ben, that's the point. That's the point. Okay. And then Kaczynski says, the Dark Brandon meme was started as an ironic joke by Twitter leftists mocking conservatives who share memes of Trump dressed as Rambo non-ironically. The second tweet is the basis for the joke. So it's like he accidentally understands it, but totally misinterprets it. Ben Shapiro does. NBC's Ben Collins warned journalists back in May of the risks involved in covering the dark MAGA movement without a critical lens. Quote, reporters shouldn't accept the branding on dark MAGA. There are plenty of words for revanchist politics, on grievance and lies. It's accelerationist violence, fascism, authoritarianism. Collins wrote on Twitter, revanchism is a term in political science derived from the French word for revenge, and it refers to the recapturing of territory or influence after war or social change. Don't sanitize it with cute Batman movie words, even if they self-identify as bad guys. Bates decided to go even further in one of his Dark Brandon tweets and fully co-opted the dark MAGA branding with an image of Biden superimposed on a movie poster from The Dark Knight Rises, a Batman film. Bates' image includes the text, malarkey will end, and the Dark Brandon rises. Okay. So now you're going to see how desperate the right has gotten with this. Again, this is all jokes. Everybody's just joking. You know, and it is true that Biden, for the first time in a very long time, there are some decent things that happened that he is at least partly responsible for. So people are fucking around and joking around and doing the whole like Dark Brandon thing, especially with the FBI raid of Trump, which, by the way, Biden didn't even know about. He wasn't given any knowledge beforehand of that happening because he allows the, FBI and the Department of Justice to act as their own independent branch, right? But look at how desperate they get. Insider notes that Bates drew criticism from Republicans for posting an image that, while reminiscent of the movie poster for The Dark Knight Rises, included an image of an eagle that they say is reminiscent of Nazi imagery. While far-right figures and conspiracy theorists like Jack Posobiec claim the eagle is associated with the Nazis, the meme's creator quickly shot down that notion. Quote, the eagle is not, and was never intended to be the Reichsadler. It was just intended to be a representation of America's national bird, the bald eagle, and any reasonable person would interpret it as such, Tobin Stone, who first posted the meme, told the Daily Dot. And again, it's the Dark Knight Rises, too. Like, that's the format. They're trying to be secret Nazi messages in there. The meme wars between the left and the right have taken on new levels of bombast and vitriol in recent months, and possibly hit a new low over the weekend at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Texas, which featured a banner that read, "We are all domestic terrorists," an apparent nod to solidarity with the January 6 rioters who attacked the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, that is kind of crazy. I mean, I think the point that they're trying to make is like, we're all basically called domestic terrorists by the left, so now we're just going to say, sarcastically, we're all domestic terrorists. But we live in a political era where everything is not going to be interpreted in the fairest light. Everything is going to be interpreted in the least fair light. And so pretending like the Dark Brandon stuff is like, actually, they accidentally put Nazi stuff in there, so they're like Nazis. I mean, come on, man. And even this, I think, is kind of silly. I mean, it does show that to these people, triggering the libs is all that really matters to the CPAC people and to the online right. And so whatever. It's a goofy political situation that we're in. But so on the Dark Brandon thing, look, here's the question. Here's the question. Is this massively cringe that people in the White House are sort of now using this and are embracing it fully, or is it a sign of, for once, Democrats sort of having a base knowledge of online culture and exploiting it to their benefit? And I have a definitive answer on this. You guys ready? Drum roll, please. The answer is both. It is both kind of cringe, but also it is them sort of surfing the wave of something that's genuinely interesting, funny, and popular. And I'd never see Democrats do that, ever. And so to see this now, it's like, okay, all right, well, somebody's got their ear to the streets and is understanding what's bubbling up in cool left circles. But again, I want to stress this point. It's the most important point. It started as a joke. Like the first time I ever encountered this meme, and I've used it too. It's it's to almost make fun of the idea that, like, you know, Biden's really conniving and competent and gets things done in an evil genius way. Because obviously the reality about Joe Biden is the opposite. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He's not strategizing. Build Back Better went up in flames, right? So when I use it, or oftentimes when I see other lefties using it, it's almost like poking fun at that, because we all know that he's not some conniving, evil genius person who's effective. And so it's like you use it ironically, you use it sarcastically. You use it like, yeah, haha, wouldn't it be cool if this is what Biden was actually like? If Biden was actually sort of genius and effective at getting through left-wing policy. Meanwhile, he doesn't even really believe in actual left policy. He's a fucking corporate moderate, you know? So anyway, that's the gist of it there. It is interesting, though, seeing them embrace some online culture stuff, because the Trump and the Republicans were much better at that. They were much better at that. And now, at least people surrounding Biden are getting in on that fun. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.